Welcome all. I'm Sarah Bumgardner with AAFMAA, the American Armed Forces Mutual Aid Association. For over 144 years, we've been serving our military community to be the premier provider of financial solutions for the armed forces. As a director of partnership and member engagement, I talk with other nonprofit organizations about what they are doing to help service members, their families, veterans, and the military community at large. And today we're talking about PTSD, or PTS as it is more commonly known now, and how the Washington Tattoo, through their Rudiment To Recovery program, is helping veterans heal. So today I have Mark Reilly. He's the CEO and president of the Washington Tattoo. He was the commander of the United States Army, Old Guard, Fife and Drum Corps, and previously served as a Corps Sergeant Major. As an internationally recognized performer, speaker, educator, and consultant, Mark's experience has allowed him to travel the world extensively, working on a state and royal level to bring veteran-led music around the world. Thank you so much for being here today, Mark, and bringing your expertise in this subject.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for having me. Honestly, it's been fantastic to partner with AAFMAA, and I just want to say thank you all for the incredible work that you do for our service members and families.
Oh, well, we're honored to do that every day. So thank you for that. And now, as you know, right, you might know, June is PTS Awareness Month. So it's really fitting that we are speaking today about how music is playing a role in this healing process. So how is the Washington Tattoo working within the military ecosystem with music and veterans?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So I first have to say this is really the brainchild of a handful of folks. And so a dear friend of mine and also former Army veteran Edward Krizik, with Loyal Drums, also came up with this idea together with the Washington Tattoo at the AUSA annual meeting last year, just kind of over some coffee chatting about what else can we do. And this idea of rudiments to recovery came into play. And the idea of rudiments in drumming are kind of the basic fundamentals of rhythms. And so once we started looking into this, we reached out to a handful of universities and started doing some research and talking to people who are in multidisciplinary spaces and looking and talking to music therapists and professors from numerous universities to find out what is the neurological connection between music and the brain, and how can we help support our veteran family and folks with PTSD and TBI.
That's amazing. It's taking kind of the art, right, and something that people listen to every day or participate in every day, which is music, and finding how there's a neurological connection to being able to help people, which is fascinating to me. So what are you finding that how the music is helping the service members with PTS and kind of the challenges that they're experiencing?
Yeah, it's a great question as well. So music is that idea of art meeting science, right brain, left brain, how we all kind of work together on our normal day-to-day as a combination of this art meeting science and right brain working with left brain. So number one, we can talk about the different chemicals and neurotransmitters that happen in the brain. And I myself, my background is in music education, so I'm not a licensed music therapist, but I love this conversation and learn as much as I can from folks in the music therapy world. And so we decided there is definitely a difference between music therapy and music wellness. And so this idea of music wellness allows us to be a little bit more open to what we're able to bring to the table. And really, it talks about the idea of, how do we stimulate the release of dopamine? How do we create an enjoyable and motivational experience? And endorphins, when you play music, endorphins are released, and that brings an idea of pleasure, relaxation, and also reduces stress. But also the idea of serotonin and stimulating that with also mood regulation and well-being, but also no one really likes to talk about this, but the idea of cortisol levels and reducing stress and reducing anxiety. Music really plays a foundational role with all of this, and how we picture either a specific event, how we experience a moment in time. And so music has the ability to bridge all of these different genres of neuroscience and also artistic worlds coming together.
That's amazing. And so let's just talk just a little bit about the rudiments to recovery and the movement through music. I think we've got kind of a slide here that will show people a little bit about kind of what you're talking about using that creativity and identity and pulling it all together. And we were talking just briefly beforehand a little bit about kind of what you're seeing when you bring different groups, families versus the veteran themselves. Tell me kind of through this Rudiments to Recovery program, who's a good candidate to come? Who should be doing this, right?
Yeah. Fantastic. No, and so we've done some beta testing. We've had 3 beta tests where we've had combinations of veterans, veteran families, veterans and their dependents, their children there. And so we definitely found that veterans, when they're on, the veterans or first responders combined without family members, act very differently, obviously, than they do when they're around other folks. And so this has been something really educational for us to see, how do we provide the best type of value? And this idea of emotional catharsis and being able to release and validate what people experience when they're in trauma, honestly, that starts to manifest itself if they're around people they trust. So when we start talking about folks trusting one another, music, especially when it comes to trauma and the types of ideas where we think of an emotional landscape, people tend to really kind of collapse on themselves if they're uncomfortable around the wrong types of folks. And not that they're wrong, but maybe in the combination of personalities or experiences, the types of people in that space need to be very, very specific. And so that is where we started to look at, what do we do for veteran children or first responder children versus families that can be a part of the entire experience, or just veterans specifically. And so 3 different types of folks that absolutely can be a part of this idea of movement through music. But the idea of recovery, rudiments to recovery, is really turning into a veterans and first responder specific activity.
Yeah, that's great. And you brought up kind of the first responders, right? We are, of course, AAFMAA is a military-centric organization, but, when we talk about kind of the healing process and things, first responders a lot of times have the same or experiencing the same type of things sometimes as our veterans are. And so I think that's great that you're opening that up. I mean, you obviously have a very strong military background, but seeing that there's another way or another avenue of being able to help people, which is just absolutely awesome. So if somebody is looking at this and they're thinking, wow, this is great. I want to become a part of this program, or even I want to know how to help this program. How can I help facilitate so that these veterans and these veterans' children and their families can participate in this wonderful, wonderful organization? How can they do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So first thing first, if you go onto the website, www.thewashingtontattoo.com, you can email us if you'd like to be a part of the program. So email info@thewashingtontattoo.com and just let us know that you are interested in participating in this program. The program that we're putting out right now is going to be once a month, and we're looking to do a cohort of 4 months. So we're looking between 10, maybe to 15 individuals that are interested in this. And honestly, what those folks are going to get is a really incredible experience. We're talking to some breweries, we're talking to some places where it's really relaxed and a lot of fun. And it's going to target the Northern Virginia, DC, Maryland area. So that DMV area is where we are located majority of the time. But what folks are going to get is a really incredible experience. You walk away with drumsticks, pads, a training workbook. They're going to get personal instruction, in-person instruction, also take-home training aids and online educational resources. So one of the fun things that we put together, honestly, was a Spotify playlist for Rudiments to Recovery. And that playlist is going to have music that they're able to play along to from one session to the next session. And we are going to look for how much improvement has been there. And it doesn't necessarily need to be technical improvement, but maybe camaraderie improvement and folks learning who other people are in those sessions. So if folks want to help support that, we're looking for 3 different types of folks. Folks who want to be a part of it, folks who are interested in helping support it. So we have an individual commitment It's roughly about $75 per individual to help sponsor those folks. So if people want to help sponsor, that's about the cost per individual. But if they want, if businesses or organizations are looking at supporting the entire cohort, it's about $2,500 to organize the entire cohort for those 4 sessions with food, drinks, and the equipment that's provided with the instruction.
That's amazing. What a great opportunity for everyone around, right? To be able to support veterans, for the veterans to be able to participate in this. And I will say too that the Washington Tattoo, if you are not familiar with them, they put on some incredible venues and vignettes and shows around music, and seeing how these people who were service members, right? They were in a military capacity, but within the bands are coming together and providing just absolute top-notch performances. So if you haven't checked that out, I absolutely would encourage everybody to, especially in the DMV area, because you all do some really, really neat types of things there.
Wow,
so I'm so excited that we got to talk today. I think it's such a great conversation. I know that, kind of art therapy and music therapy and veterans is kind of something it's been rumbling around, and people are realizing that there's a really big connection here and being able to heal in trauma with music or in the arts. So thank you for bringing this to our attention and speaking about this and how it can help with PTS.
No, it's been an honor to chat with you. And I mean, just for one instance, when people think about music and music wellness, it improves verbal communication 35%. There's also studies that show that the hormones associated with stress decrease by 40% when they're involved with musical activities. So there's just a lot of work that still can be done. But I think moving forward with AAFMAA, organizations like the Honor Movement Foundation, has just been such a blessing to be able to do this for our service members and first responders. So thank you so much, Sarah, for the opportunity to get our message out.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Well, and thank you all for joining today. That's going to wrap up our AAFMAA Live for today. And if you would like any more information, of course, about AAFMAA and financial readiness within the military community, you can always subscribe here to the QR code on the screen that is slowly loading, but we'll get there. There it is. Otherwise, I thank you for joining today, and I hope everyone has a great day. Bye now.